right, everyone. Welcome to One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I am your host, Kirk DeMars, and tonight on the program, we're going to be talking lots of different things. We're going to be talking about local high school sports. We're going to be talking about wrestling, which I know some of you are very excited about, especially the guy that I have coming on the program with me tonight. He's going to share a little bit about wrestling and his passion for that and what's taking place right around here in mid-Missouri. Also, we're going to talk a little bit of college football. There's been some crazy stuff happening. We've heard about prime time over and over again. How did they do this week? And what is our thoughts and analysis on that? Also, we're going to talk about Mizzou football. These guys had a chance to be 4-0 this weekend. Did they do it? I think most of you know, but we're going to talk about that and a little bit more that's coming up in this next few weeks and what kind of an opportunity do they have. And of course, we are going to talk about the Chiefs and some other NFL football scores. So hang on as I bring on the man, Ethan Fernau, and he is right down in the gym doing his workout. Ethan Fernau, come on, man. What's going on?
What's going on? I'm excited to be back.
Hey, good to have you back. I wanted to have you
Yes,
come on when
sir.
we were doing the fantasy football. I forgot. We're going to talk about that tonight, too. I wanted to have you come on when we had Jay and John and Ryan on here, but there wasn't enough screens to get all that awesomeness on.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me a little bit about what's going on. What happened with fantasy football for you this week so far?
So right now, I got AJ Brown hopefully giving me some luck this week. It's Monday night. I got the football game on behind me. I'm hoping he puts up some points. I need about 20 to 15 points to pull out this one. It came close last week, same. I was down 30 points, and I just pulled it off. I don't even know how. I couldn't even tell you. Um, my wife is actually in the same league as me, so it's actually kind of exciting to kind of do the battle of the married couple. But she's doing
Uh-huh.
actually really well too for her first year. It's exciting. Like I said, it's kind of exciting to have that as a relationship. You can get to talk about football with your significant other, so that is a blast for me. Um, she gets real competitive, so I mean it's all good, fun and everything like that. Sometimes she doesn't understand what's going on, but it's all right. It's like I said, it's all fun and games, and it's just a good time for a good time of year.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your league and maybe some of the players that you've got, and then of course we need to hear, is she doing better than you, or are you keeping the mantle so far?
So right now we're both 1-1. Tonight kind of solves it. I mean, I think she pulled off another win this week, so she's going to be 2-1. I might be 1-2. Like I said, I need about 20 points tonight, so I'm really hoping and praying that this comes through on my favor, so then I don't have to go back to the loser column. Um, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy year. We're only on week 3, and I mean these incidents and accidents and stuff like that, these injuries and stuff like that are happening so early in the season. It's so crazy. Kind of like what I was talking to her the other night. It blows my mind. Like in our league, we only we get fake $200 to spend on our players and everything like that, and you try to get the top players and everything, and then first week your top player goes out, and you're scrounging to you either go to your bench or you got to pick up somebody. Um, so I mean it's kind of a crazy thing. It's like a realistic thing. You kind of get the feel of what owners go through. They pay millions and millions of dollars for these players, and if they get hurt, you're kind of a sitting duck. Um, you made the contract, they signed it, so you have to come up with the deal. And that's kind of how you are in fantasy. You paid for the player, so it's either you trade them or you stick with them until they come back. So I mean, it's a scramble.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about some of that as far as some of these teams in the NFL that have had a few injuries and how that's affecting them so far. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Uh, all right, so now I want to hear a little bit about wrestling. What's been going on uh, as you're prepping for all that? I mean, I know it's a little ways off yet, but what's exciting for you in the world of wrestling?
So last time I was on here, I know we were kind of talking about me coaching track and everything like that, and that was a blessing. I got to meet a lot of cool kids and a lot of kids that have kind of stuck in my heart and everything like that. So I mean, I now most of my kids that I do know, they moved on to high school, and actually it was kind of nice. I got to go the other week to the freshman boys football game. Me and the wife did. So it was just really, really great to see those boys again. I got to go down on the field and talk to them for a minute and see them and everything like that. And they came up and talked to me after the game. They didn't pull out a win, but I mean, I couldn't be more happier for those boys. I know they'll keep growing every day in practice and in each year and stuff like that. Um, but I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm just happy to see that they are still doing things and making themselves better and everything like that. But for this year, I'm not going to do track. Like I said, it was just kind of my step to get in, inside the door and everything like that. So wrestling is kind of more my passion. I love doing the single competitor sport. It teaches you so many things to be independent. I know I'm not saying like a team sport's not bad, not good or anything like that. But this makes you, go out there and really put it all on the line, because you don't have anybody you're depending on. You're by yourself. It's either you go out there and you work your butt off, or you come back in with a loss, and you learn from it. But no, I'm super super excited. We started last Thursday. We're just doing every Thursday right now of the month of September, and then October hits. We're doing it every night after school. Right now, we only got about 6, 7 kids because of football and all the other sports going
Mm-hmm.
on. But as soon as those come, we're going to be, the ball's going to be rolling. We're going to be hitting the mat pretty hard and everything like that. And like I said, I'm freaking super excited about this. I haven't been on a mat since I graduated, so over 12 years I haven't been on a
Okay.
mat. But like I said, I am super stoked and I'm super excited for it. So
I've been on a mat, and I think it was the floor mat for my car. I think that's about it. I tried wrestling when I was in sixth grade for just a brief time, and I said, nope, that's not for me. I'm gonna keep doing baseball, football, basketball, and track. I just did that year round from when I was in sixth grade through a senior. So got in a rhythm and had a lot of fun with that. I do want to talk a little bit about wrestling. I don't know if some people understand the different things that go into that. I mean, strength and conditioning, endurance, and then especially once you guys get into the season, I know that there are different rules now for this, but weight cutting was like a big deal. And I mean, some of
hmm
the processes that people went through on that were just crazy. What's that like now?
So like like when I was in school, like I said, you even said it too. The rules have changed and everything like that. Weight classes have changed all to like college weights and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more confusing even when I was in school. I know when I was in school, weight cutting was hard. I mean, we actually had a teacher that was a referee, so we had to be really careful around him because there's only so many legal things that you could do for weight cutting. A lot of us we would try to do it really dumb. We would either be spitting in a bottle, chewing juicy fruit or something like that to try to get that water weight off of us. Um, Man, it was hard, but I mean, I think once you get to where you can get your conditioning down and you can, function your body, weight and everything like that, it's pretty easy to maintain your weight. Cutting weight is probably one of the freaking hardest things to do. Anybody that's ever wrestled MMA or anything like that, they know what I'm talking about. Uh, I know from my experience, when I was a freshman, I was at 125 and the coach wanted me to cut down to 119 in like one day. And I was like, oh, there's no way. Like that is so hard because you don't get to eat. You're just drinking water, going to the bathroom 1,000 times a day just to try to get that water weight off and, as much weight as you can. Like I said, nowadays I bet, I think they're really strict on cutting weight because I mean it is harder on your body to do that. And the rules, and regulations too. You have to be really careful in cutting weight because you don't want to do it the wrong way and then get disqualified or whatever, for cutting weight the wrong way. Like I said, when that teacher, he was a referee, so he always kind of kept an eye on us, especially dual night and stuff like that. Because a lot of us did have to cut weight, so he would watch us during the day to make sure we were doing it right. And if we didn't, I mean, he'd go to Misha that night and tell him like, "Hey, this guy's not wrestling because he's not cutting weight properly." So I mean, a lot of things you just kind of have to keep in mind doing it, because I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not wrong, but it's very hard on your body, especially when
Oh,
you're used to being
absolutely.
up here and cutting 6 or 7 pounds in one day. I mean, that's
Hmm.
freaking crazy. So,
Yeah. I
um,
remember watching some of the MMA. I mean, you had mentioned that. I remember watching some of the videos where they would show them cutting weight, and I can't remember this one lady from Brazil. I mean, she was like the top one at the time, and they were showing her cutting weight, and I mean, she was literally moaning and in pain because
Hmm.
they were just having to take so much off of her. And so, yeah, it's good that they've got those things in place, especially for the student athletes in high school and that level. There's no sense in getting carried away with that at this time. So,
No. And like those UFC fighters, they have all that nice stuff. They have the
oh
sauna
yeah,
rooms and stuff like that. So they get to do it a lot more proper. In your high school, you don't have all that luxury. So it's either you get a sweatsuit and you run it out, or you're spitting every ounce of water out of your body, and stuff like that. So I mean, um, there's the rights and wrongs to it, but like when it comes down to it, when you're a wrestler, it's like I'm going to do everything I can to go to the mat, and stuff like that. I don't want to miss that match or anything like that because I was a pound off. And that's the really disappointing part about it is you do all
hmm
that work to cut that weight and you're like point 0.5 off or ounces off or whatever, and then you don't get to wrestle that night. So it takes a toll on you. But like I said, I mean, I started my freshman year and I freaking loved it. I don't know why, but like I said, it is awesome.
good. And you said, how much did you weigh then?
So freshman year I was 25, and then the next year I went up 10 pounds, and then my junior and senior year I just stayed at 45. So I kept my weight pretty consistent between my junior and senior year. But like I said, now the weight classes are a little weird. They're
hmm
college weights, so it's like instead of 145, it's like 142 or something like that.
hmm
So it's real weird number now.
Okay. So the real question is, now that you're, out of high school and all that, I wouldn't ask a woman this because you don't ask this question, but so what's your weight at now?
200.
200. All right. So
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
put on some bulk though, and you're in good shape.
Yeah,
So it's
so I would be
it's not
hitting
like
like the heavyweights and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, and it's so crazy now. Like, even when we were in school, we would go to these duels and stuff like that in these tournaments, and we would lose so many points because we wouldn't have those little guys. I was literally the one of the littlest guys, and I was 125. We go to these tournaments, and these guys would have like 103s and stuff like that, and
hmm
and it's like how do you get somebody that small, when they're in high school? But
Right.
they would do it. I mean, they would do
Yeah.
it. And I was actually talking to one of the coaches the other night for our first practice, and I said it's crazy, different physiques and stuff like that. You go to, I wrestled a kid in state that literally looked like he was probably about 180, but he was 145, but he was just built. And it's crazy. And like me, I was skin and bones, and I was 145. I'm like, how does that guy weigh 145 and I weigh 145 and I look like the skeleton? Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but that's what I
Right.
was going back to is like your conditioning, your body, your workouts, your eating style and stuff like that, your
hmm
diet. It all goes into the way you're going to look and the way you're going to perform. So,
Yeah. I'm glad those days are by, but you know what? I could probably stand to cut a little bit of weight right now, but I've I've done better. I got up, above the 200 level several years ago, but then I dropped back down 180, 185. That's kind of where I'm hovering right now, but I need to lose a little bit
mhm.
more. So I don't know. You know, as you get older, I mean, how old are you now?
30.
30. Yeah, see, I'm 57. So you gotta really start watching stuff around, this time. So it's good. It's worth it. Uh, hey, I want to switch over and talk a little bit about high school football and just some of the different things that happened this week. I mean, they had some really good local games, and I wanted to, always a big one, of course, is Capital City and Jeff City. They met this week at Atkins Stadium, and it was a battle. Coach Damon Wells and the Jefferson City Jays, though they came out on top, 34-21, and um, it's just really neat to be able to see competitive games because I know it was a little struggle at first when Capital City moved over and they were having to deal with a lot of the challenges of going from no program into a program and being competitive.
Mhm.
And so Jeff City won the first 2 years, and then Capital City won last year, and then we had Jefferson City has won again. So another one that was basically for the kind of the CMAC, what they've been. there's two teams, Helias and Rockbridge. Those two were, up at the top, and it looked like they were going to be battling out for that this year. And Helias, they came out on top. But here's the crazy thing: their starting quarterback went out early in the game, and so then they brought in a sophomore, and this sophomore, he was able to. His name is let's see, Austin Weaver. And so Jacob Weaver, his brother, we had him in Sports Soccer Magazine, did articles on him. But we had Austin. He led the Crusaders to a 20-10 win over Rockbridge. That's a lot of pressure, a sophomore coming in to
And
a high pressure
I
game
think
like
that's
that.
fantastic, though. I think that's fantastic. As like as they bring in a young guy, that doesn't probably get the playing time that he should. Maybe hopefully he's getting a little bit more playing time on JV and stuff like that, getting his reps in, and stuff like that. But I think that's fantastic when you have a team. If one player goes down, they do have a good backup.
Right.
And like I said, I mean that means everything. Because then you're not scrambling, you don't have the pressure and everything like that. You're like, oh, what are we going to do now? And stuff like that. But when you can take your head quarterback, your number one quarterback, and he goes down or whatever, it's a good feeling to know that, hey, we're going to be okay. We're going to
Hmm.
finish this out strong because we have a backup that we trust and everything like that. And that is big on a sophomore's shoulders. But it
That's
seems like
right.
the kid came through, he did his job, and came out with the dub. So I mean, that's awesome. So
Yeah, it's you know, and just think about that experience and how well that's going to transition into the years to come. So uh, we we hope that Sam gets healed up pretty quickly and is able to get back on the football field. But it's good to be able to have kids have an opportunity and step up when they have that chance.
yep.
I'm not even going to hardly even say anything about this other than the fact that the number one team in Class 3, Blair Oaks, beat Boonville 56-27. Wow. They're just a machine. They're a machine. They can,
That's just like all offense. I mean, it sounds like the defense did a little bit, but it just seems like it's all offense, and their defense was doing what they needed to do. But I mean, when their offense came out on the field, it sounds like they dominated and they did their jobs and got it done.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm
And
not going to go off subject real quick, but let's go back to that JC Cap City
yeah,
game. Go red. I mean, I'm on the red side on this one. That's a freaking amazing. We were kind of falling a little bit Friday night and stuff like that, and I wasn't 100% sure if they got the W, but congratulations to Coach Wells and the Jays, man. That's freaking awesome. Like I said, me and the wife we're on the red side, so go red side. I mean, that's awesome. So shout out to
even
them.
though you're wearing blue tonight, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all right. That's all right. You're kind of bipartisan. Let's just call it that way. But you're leaning more toward the Jays. So
heck
uh,
yeah.
Southern Boone, they're doing really well too. They beat Quincy Notre Dame out of Illinois, but it was a close game, 35 to 34. 35 to
Whew.
34. Again, off a lot of offense going on, and they were able to pull that out. Um, Eldon played against Hallsville. Hallsville's got a great team, and Eldon battled hard. They were down early. They came back to tie it at the end of the third quarter, and then they ended up falling in a close game, 50-42. So, shout out
Oof.
to the Eldon football team. They did a great job. California, that particular conference, the Tri County, is just it's loaded, and they had a tough game against Osage, and they pulled that one out 17-14. Aiden Bryant, who's going to be in the magazine, he is a part of that, scored a touchdown in that game. So, great
And I'm
job,
guessing that came
California.
down to a field goal, huh?
It, yeah, 17-14. It was
Man,
a
that's a
field
tough
goal.
that those are tough, pills to swallow when they're that close. But I mean, like
Hmm.
I said, it's either you fall down and whatever, or you get back up and you guys work your butts off this week in practice, and you get back up and chew on that loss and take it out on the field for next Friday night. That's all you can do. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean,
from a
man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Again, lots of close games. There wasn't too many blowouts, a lot of very close games. And, going back to California, that's one of my daughter, who's a photographer for Sports Soccer Magazine. That's one of her favorite places to go and take photographs is out in California on their very colorful football field and their baseball field, softball. Got great colors. The only thing is, I'm just saying this, California, every time we come out there, typically it's cold and windy, and that could even be during the in the middle of summer. It seems like it's cold and windy when we get there. It must be just the time that we go. But anyway, it's we appreciate everything that they do and the student athletes being able to represent them. Another local school that I really appreciate being able to cover through the magazine is North Callaway, and they were playing against Mark Twain. Coach Kevin O'Neill, he works very hard for us as the athletic director as well, and he gets us those great student athletes to be able to cover in the magazine. And the Thunderbirds, they trailed at halftime, but they came up with a huge 30-14 win over Mark Twain. So shout out to North Callaway. Great job, Thunderbirds.
Yes, sir.
South Callaway, not to be outdone, they beat Louisiana 50-42. Man, those are again some high scoring games.
Oh, and that's another thing is like it's just like I mean, it sounds like there's on those games and not crashing on them or all, but it sounds like there's no defense. It sounds like it's all offense again, just score, go, score, go, score, goal. I
Yeah.
mean, it's and those are the exciting games though to me, honestly. I mean, I like the blowouts and everything like that. I mean, that's awesome, especially when you're the underdog and you come out with a blowout. That's awesome. But when you can go back to back to back to back, I think that's cool because that shows you that your offense can go head to head with their offense.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you know what I mean? So I mean, I feel like I mean, those are the good ones. Those are the ones that you want to see, and everything like that. Those nail biters are the ones that I want to see. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And breaking news, real quick, we got to share that Devin Frank, my good friend Devin Frank, he said that the Choppers, his son's team, pulled off a win against the Chiefaholics in the J.C. Parks and Rec Flag Football League. Had to mention it, Kirk, is what he said. So thank you,
well,
Devin.
shout out to the
And
Choppers.
yeah, and way to go, Brooks. Awesome job. Very, very, very neat little young man. I love and appreciate that boy. Um, Tipton had a rebound game, and they absolutely rebounded against Wellington Napoleon. They beat them 52 to 12.
Oh wow,
52 to 12. Wow, is right.
yeah,
That is
that's crazy.
that's some scoring. And then Russellville, they just came up just short against Scotland City, 28 to 22. Again, we had some really close games, and we had a couple of blowouts. But overall, I think everything was um, on the upside for most of the local teams right here in mid-Missouri. But great
Hmm.
job. That was week 5, and looking forward to the rest of the season, seeing how they go there. Uh, Ethan, I think we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll talk about some college football, and then, of course, we're going to talk about some NFL football. So if you're rip roaring ready to go on that, we will be back in just a moment.
CNS Business Services has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
I can never say enough about CNS Employment Solutions. My friend Paula Benny and her team over there, they do a wonderful job with making sure that they get employers and people looking for a job hooked up together and making sure that Mid Missouri runs, it's fully staffed, and providing this great service that people right here in Mid Missouri give. So thank you to her team. And I also want to say a thank you to her team. You just have no idea how hardworking they are, as well as in the community. We just had the Redemption Inside the Walls concert this last weekend out at the Jefferson City J.C.'s Fairgrounds. And I mean, those people over there and everybody that was involved on that committee worked so hard to put that event on. And there was no rain in the forecast. And then during the concert, during that day, right when Natalie Grant was getting up on the stage, she was up there saying 2 songs, and the weather was just rolling in. We were hoping it was going to pass over us and everything, but we had lightning strike not too far away, so we had to tell everybody to get into the building at the end of the fairgrounds. And Paula and her team were scurrying around, as well as everybody else, trying to get everybody in there. And here's the really amazing thing that happened. Now, this artist, Natalie Grant, she did not have to stay after that, but she said that if at all possible, she would stay as the storm passed through. Well, she ended up going and playing with her. She sang with her acoustic guitar player. They went in, and as well as a backup singer, they went into the building and just kind of did a little, I guess you'd say, campfire, campground kind of thing inside with everybody. No fire, of course, but just kind of that atmosphere. Got in there and sang, and just continued that performance and sing along with everybody in there. It was amazing. I wish you could have been there to see it. So it was really cool. I want to thank all the volunteers as well as, again, Paula Benny, CNS Employment Solutions, and Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. They're outstanding. We appreciate everything they do. One other sponsor, we have Big Whiskeys. They are our Coach of the Issue sponsor every year of every issue in Sports Locker magazine, and they help tell the stories about great coaches like this guy that we got on here tonight. They haven't told his story, but I'm assuming that that's going to be happening pretty soon. So, Coach Ethan Fernau, we're going to be having him in Sports Locker, I'm sure, sometime. I mean, he's on the video. Why not have your face in the magazine, right?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I'd love to be in that magazine and be able to tell my story and everything like that. I think it's awesome. So,
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, we're going to switch gears. College football.
oh,
Mizzou.
here we go.
Mizzou's been coming up again.
Been on
I think it's
fire.
been 10 years since they've had I think either 10 years since they've been 4-0, or it's maybe 10 years since before they'll be 5-0. So they've got an opportunity this weekend to hit that level, and they're playing against Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt. But first, they won a good game this past weekend, beat Memphis over in St. Louis, and they ended up winning by a final score of 34-27. I think it was a little closer than what they anticipated.
Yeah, we caught bits and parts of that one too, and like I said, yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it was a lot closer than I thought. Mizzou thought they, probably went out there thinking it was going to be, a lot higher than that. But I mean, shout out to Memphis, and stuff like that. Keeping up the fight and putting the pressure on Mizzou. But I mean, it showed Mizzou. I mean, when the pressure was on, Mizzou came back and they capitalized. So that's good that we can, uh, come back, under pressure and everything like that. Even last week's game too. I want to give this shout out to the kicker. My goodness, what was it, 62 yards?
Yeah.
And I bet that kicker, I bet he, was sweating a little bit. I mean, that's
Harrison,
crazy. That is crazy for a college student to kick a 62-yard field goal to
yeah,
win the
it
game.
was it was actually 61. I think the
Oh,
Mizzou
61, sorry.
record was 62, so he was really
Okay.
close. But yeah, he hit that, and his name is Harrison Mevis, and he hit that
hmm
basically as time expired, and you know
And they showed
that
a video at the end and just how close it was to the bottom beam. He couldn't have done, a better job of keeping it lined up and everything like that. So shout out to him. So,
yeah, and like Devin said, Mevis has signed his ticket, so I'm sure he is going to have some opportunities.
oh
That
yeah.
distance in college football is very good, but it's also good in the NFL. I mean, if you can make that
That's
from
what the
there, that's
that
great.
that's what my wife said too. She goes, if he wasn't getting looked at, he's getting looked at now. So I mean,
Yeah,
he's definitely going to be on
absolutely.
somebody's radar. So,
And what a great victory against an old Big Eight, Big 12 rival, Kansas State.
hmm
Um, you know,
yes.
Mizzou was not picked to win that game, and they pulled off the upset, and that was a great thing. Now, one thing that they're going to have to look out for a little bit is that they haven't been too good on third down conversions on offense. They haven't been too good on third down conversions on defense. So they're going to have to get that shored up a little bit, and um, they've got this game next week that's very winnable against Vanderbilt, and then like you were sharing earlier, is that they got a tough game coming up against LSU. I think LSU's ranked number 13 right now, and then they've got a couple more games that are winnable as well. But if they keep this going, they've got a good chance. Alabama is not as strong as what they've been in years past.
Don't even
Um,
get me started.
Well, why not?
I
Hey,
mean, my
let's
goodness,
get you
my
started
goodness.
because that's what we're here for, to get you started to talk about some of that
My
stuff. So
goodness.
go right
And
ahead.
me and my dad, we're Alabama fans, and I know that you'll always have a rebuilding year. We can't be perfect all the time, and you got to keep following them.
That's
Even
right.
in their low times and their high times, you got to be there for them. But
You
I'll tell
do.
you what, oh my goodness, some of them games they're just like, can we not do something? Can we not make a first down? Can we not get in the end zone? Like it's mind blowing. And like I think it was last week, I guess they had a really bad storm and everything like that, and knocked out all their cameras. So
Mm.
literally the only camera they had was the sky view. And so you couldn't zoom in, you couldn't look at anything. So I called Dad and I was like, "What is going on here?" I said, "Is this a high school football game now?" I said, "Because like I said, what is going on with their camera crew?" And Dad told me, he's like, "Nope, a storm hit their cameras and it knocked out all the cameras, so they only have one camera." And I'm like, my goodness, watching that game was just like a headache. So, I mean, like I said, I mean, and I will always follow. I'll keep following Alabama and everything like that. And Nick Saban. You always have your low times, but I mean, he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing, and he'll set those boys straight. And I think we'll be okay. Maybe not this
Sure.
year. We'll take a loss. Take a loss this year and everything like that, and maybe not. Get a championship, but we'll be back in the following years. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, think about that. I mean, really, they have been at such a high level of excellence for so long. I mean, they have been the standard for everybody else
Hmm.
to try to come up to. And then, of course,
Yep.
Clemson and Georgia, both of them got up there. Clemson's dropped back down. Ohio State and Michigan have both, kind of thought they were there, but not quite. Um, TCU absolutely got blasted last year in the championship game. So a lot of these
Hmm.
teams are still trying to achieve that. Now Georgia has hit it. They're of course, a Nick Saban protege, is now taken over, and they're doing an outstanding job.
But I'll tell you
But
what,
it's
though, I
hard
think
to
didn't they
keep that
just
level.
play? Yeah, didn't they just? I think they played. What was it? South Carolina this past week.
Hmm. I think so.
I mean, South Carolina was putting it on them, in there in the
Yeah.
beginning, in the first, and everything like that. And I mean, as a high team, you can't get that big head on you, all because you're playing a lower
Right.
team and everything like that. You could have your off nights. That South Carolina, I'm pretty sure, if I can think about it, last year they had a pretty good record and they had a good looking team. So they're wanting that win. They're wanting. They want that momentum and stuff like that. So I mean, they have nothing to lose. So I mean, if they lose, they lose. But if they beat Georgia, holy cow, that's a big one. So like, I mean, like I said, I watched the first half and I was like, man, South Carolina might pull this off. And then after the half, of course, Georgia kind of just shifted gears and they put it on them. So
Yeah.
um, I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to look at it that losing Stetson Bennett, he's not my favorite. The dude was in college for 100 years. One of the oldest seniors you could ever see playing QB, and stuff like that. But
I
going back
love
to
it.
Alabama, losing Bryce Young and everything like that. I mean, it takes a big hit. But I mean, you look at it like kind of like you were saying, they were on a high. We had Jalen Hurts, we had Tua, Mac Jones, and and now we had Bryce Young, and now we have this other guy in here. He's a young quarterback, but you live and you learn. And I think, like I said, you have those building years, and then once you get those building years out of the way, they're on fire. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've got a Mizzou super fan has joined us, Whitney Henriksen. She is a Mizzou super fan. And she says, "Go Mizzou, Kirk. Join on the bandwagon. Not too late. MIZ." And Whitney, you don't know this, but I do like Mizzou football. It's just that in basketball, I am always going to be a Jayhawks fan. So that's just the way it is. I like Mizzou as my second favorite team in basketball, but it all comes down to rock chalk when it's college basketball. In college football, I I like Mizzou. They're probably my favorite team now. My team I grew up with was the Oklahoma Sooners back in the days of Barry Switzer and a lot of the option football that they had. My brother was a huge Nebraska fan, so when they would play each other, that was a big deal during Thanksgiving, and just loved all those competitive games. But Mizzou is up there, and I got to see Mizzou beat Oklahoma years ago when they were still in the Big 12, and the fans rushed the field just like they did against K State, and they ripped down the goalposts, and they were taking the goalposts through the gates. And I mean, it was like a sea of people, and the goalpost was going through the gates. I mean, that was a huge win. And just to see that happen was pretty amazing. And I'm sure the people, when they beat K-State, that was a pretty big deal as well. So, yes, Whitney, go Mizzou. I will say it for football, ZOU. There you go. I know, I mean, she's probably recording this, or she'll be able to pull it up and just say, "Remember when you said that?" Yes, I did, and it is true.
Hey, they're on fire right now. We got to keep it
That's
going and kind
right.
of keep that flame lit.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Hey, there's another team in college football that has been like stealing the headlines for quite a while, and it has a little bit to do with some prime time. Talk a little bit about that.
oh, Coach Prime, he had to find out a little bit more how to be humble, and everything like that. And I think he is. I think he's a very humble coach. Old Dion, I think I think he has the right momentum, and stuff like that. I think he really cares about the boys and everything and their interest. And I think it's really, really cool as a father and son relationship, having two boys on his team and everything like that. I'm hopefully one day I might get to, know that feeling, of maybe coaching my son as well. But kind of like what he says, sometimes he has to put that father side, aside, and then you have to be, the coach prime, and stuff like that. But then again, like I think it was last week when I'm gonna murder his first name, but his boy Sanders, QB Shakir or something,
Shadur.
Shador, yeah,
Yeah,
Shador.
yeah,
When he got hit, on that, just an absolutely dumb hit. But I mean, he got hit, and his dad kind of checked on him and kind of went back to that father figure. But I'll tell you what, coming back from like last year, I think winning one game and everything like
yeah.
that to now 3-1. Like I said, everybody wants to sit there and kind of say all the bad things, but you know what? You're not going to win them all. You're not going to be
No.
perfect, especially coming in on a 1-12 or 1-13 season last year to now being a 3-1 team. I mean, they're going in the right direction. So I mean, you know what? I'm going to jump on that bandwagon because I love watching them boys play, and I've watched
Hmm.
every single game this year so far. So I mean, shout out to Coach Prime, man, and then his boys and stuff like that, because I mean they're in the right direction, and I knew. I was really hoping that they would pull over that win over Oregon, but Oregon's also another good team. They're a big team,
They're
and
number
they've
10.
had, and Oregon, yeah, Oregon's always been kind of in that category of a big team. So it's
Yeah.
not like they're playing some, random team. They put it,
Hmm.
put their, how do you put it? They put their potential to the test this weekend, and
Hmm.
I mean they came up short. But like he said in the interview, you come back, you take the loss, and you come back the next week and try to come out strong. And I think that's what's going to happen is, and I know they have another big, game this
A very
weekend, but
big
I
game.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, if they can take this loss and practice hard this week, during practice, I think Coach Prime is going to come out and probably shock a lot of people. Maybe not pull off a win, but maybe not as sore as a loss that he took last week. And stuff like that. So, and a lot of people I think wanted to see him lose, but like I said, those haters are out there. But you know what?
Yeah.
You got to have haters, and you got to have the people that are going to be on your side. So those haters will
That's
push you,
right.
to be better.
Devin makes a good comment. He loves watching the pre games. Prime makes me think I can lift a bus. I mean, he is a master motivator. And
He is.
one of the interesting things I thought, he comes from Jackson State and had built a good program there, and then he goes to Colorado. That they, like I said, they only won one game last year. He goes in and he basically cleans house. He said,
Yep.
if I'm just telling you right now, you might as well go ahead and put your name in the portal, because if you don't do it my way, you're out. So they
Yeah.
had a huge turnover, and brought in some of his players from Jackson State, and brought in some new football players, and so they're building something, and everything that they have been doing in these nationally televised games and these huge games, even this last week, they're going to start getting some of these high profile student athletes saying, you know what, I want to go and I want to put my name and be a part of building something. Yes, Alabama, they're top level, but I want to have my name on something that we built this thing and now we're in the top level of conversation. So that's pretty
That's
exciting.
another thing too. These first three games that they had, or the first two games they had, or yeah, three games. Their offense looks really really great, but they got to do a little bit more on defense, man. Their defense has to come together, and they have to make those big plays. They have to stop those big plays.
Hmm.
I think that's really what's hurting them right now. Just kind of watching them in the last couple of weeks is their offense is, I mean, can capitalize on a lot of things.
Hmm.
But their defense, man, they got to come together.
Yeah.
Defense wins games too. So
Right.
if they can figure that out, and I think, like I said, I think Coach Prime can. Um,
Hmm.
I think they're going to be pretty decent and everything like that. And like I said, they might not be the best this year, but you know what? They've already done better than they did last year, so they're going up instead of going down. So that's a good thing.
Well,
And
they
another thing I like. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So yeah, so the thing I really like about him too, he's kind of like a Nick Saban when it comes to keeping his attitude pretty level during a game. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. He doesn't sit there and scream and throw stuff down. And I think that you can kind of tell a lot by a coach by the way they act during a game. And
Hmm.
and that goes, if you act like a fool as a coach, I think that instills on your players too. So
Yes.
if you keep a level head and everything like that, I think it helps the players keep a level head instead of getting aggravated and getting frustrated. And that's why I like, Nick Saban. I mean, Nick Saban,
Hmm.
he'll get a little rambunctious every once in a while and, kind of argue with the play, but you never see that man, throw his headphones or throw the clipboard or anything like that. He just always tries to keep a level head and, and stuff like that. So if Coach Prime can continue to do that, like I said, I think he's I think he's going to be that
Yeah.
team that everybody wants to be on and wants to build, kind of like what you were saying. So
Oh yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's also gonna be fun to watch to see some of these. I guess you would call them super conferences. As far as the realignment and all that. Just see how that's going to be working out. I mean, it's changing all over. NIL has changed everything up. So
mhm.
still don't quite agree with a football player or any student athlete getting on a team and then being able to immediately go into the portal and go to another team. I think there has to be some type of um, a waiting period before they can literally just switch on to another team. Because what you're seeing is you're going to say, well, I don't like how I'm being coached, or I don't like that I'm not getting enough playing time. I'm just going to go somewhere else. My goodness, you can't do that in life typically. I mean, I know you can some
Yeah,
places, but typically you got to be able to fight through some things and just I don't know. That's a whole different thing. I just want to finish up real quick with this with Colorado. They play the number 3 team in the country this next week in USC. So well, it says number 8. I thought they were number 3, but they are playing with another top team. They just lost to Oregon, who was number 10, and then they're coming right back and playing USC, who has like one of the top Heisman candidates in Caleb Williams on the team. So that's going to be exciting. He actually won
like I
the
said, if
Heisman
they're,
Trophy.
I mean, if they can change some things up in practice this week on their defense, I mean, they have to. I mean, they gotta figure out their defense. I mean, so
And switching to defense, like you said, defense wins games. How about those Chiefs on defense? My goodness, that's been a surprise for me.
shutting them
They've been
down.
holding their own, and all their games they've been holding their own. So offense hadn't performed too well in the first couple of games, but their defense hadn't done bad. Of course, the first game we were missing that behemoth of man, um,
Yeah, and we got this all figured
Chris
out, and
Jones.
anything like
Yeah,
that. And I get it. I mean, when it comes to money, I guess it is important. It is, but you know what? I don't know. I mean, it kind of puts a sour taste in my mouth because you're literally sitting up in the stands while your team's taking a butt kicking. So
yeah.
like it just it's either like, do you care about your team or do you care about your money? I mean, like I said, all their contracts are important, and what they're worth and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, you gotta be a part of the team and you gotta be for the team. And I think, you know, like I said, it put a kind of a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but I'm glad to
Hmm.
see him back. I mean, he did some pretty good stops this weekend and everything like that. Um, but I mean, now that we got that fiasco out of the way, I think we're gonna be back to where we need to be, as the Chiefs, and the
Yeah.
dominating, Super Bowl champs. So, you know, man, that was it was a good game. Uh, It sucks to be Chicago.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not good
I
when
mean,
the quarterback blames the coach
Justin
for their.
Fields, man, that kid
Yeah.
has so much talent, but I mean, he's just struggling, kind of like Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. I mean, they're just struggling. Um, them young quarterbacks, like I said, I mean, I know he's been with the Bears, for a couple of years now and everything like that, Fields. But it's either you got to figure it out.
Hmm.
Good grief, man. I mean, you got to figure it out. It's either get rid of the ball faster or get out of the pocket and run. And he's good at running. I mean, he
Yeah.
once he gets out of that pocket, he's a very dangerous quarterback. He's kind of like Lamar Jackson. You get him out of the freaking
Hmm.
pocket, you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to run it or is he
Right.
going to throw it? So
That's one quarterback that I did not like when the Chiefs would face him, because I mean he could throw decent, but man, when he ran, it was ridiculous. It was crazy.
it's a Michael Vick. It's a Michael
Uh-huh.
Vick. Michael Vick was
Joystick.
decent at throwing, but you get him out of the pocket, you ain't catching him.
Yeah. I
So
want to get back to the Chiefs here in a little bit, but right now I'm going to give us a quick 13-3 at halftime. The Eagles over the Buccaneers, and just with 2 minutes or 3 minutes left in the first, the Rams are ahead of the Bengals 3-0. So let's go through real quick the different um, divisions, and I'll just list who's what their record is, and then we'll get some thoughts from you on this. So right now, Miami is 3-0, and they just put up 70 points on the Denver
my goodness.
Broncos.
I almost thought I read that wrong. I almost thought I read it wrong. I looked at my wife, Christy, and I go, Chris, did they really get 70 points? Are you kidding me? Like that is ridiculous. And I'm
It
so
is.
happy. I'm so happy for Tua. I mean, he struggled with that concussion and everything like that, and I'm glad they kind of figured it out. And I know it can happen again, but they figured it out and they gave him a better helmet, which is awesome. It's a blessing in disguise. And I'm so happy. I couldn't be more happy for him that he is having a killer year so far. Him and
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, they are firing on all cylinders. And I hope,
Hmm.
I don't know if he was in. I didn't get to watch too much of it because we have the red zone, so it kind of flips back and forth. But I don't know if Waddle was in too much. I know he was questionable for this week.
Yeah, he
But
didn't.
like I
Yep.
said, yeah, so I hope he comes back healthy and everything like that because I think he had a concussion. Um, but I mean, I couldn't be more happy for Tua, man. I hope he goes far. And like I said, the Dolphins, oh my goodness, could you imagine if they pull out this year and they get a Super Bowl? At least go to the Super Bowl. I want
No,
my
I
Chiefs
don't
to
want
go to
to.
the Super
I
Bowl.
don't
I
want to
want them to
manage
win,
it. I don't want to
but
imagine that. I
but
don't. Maybe they
but
could get to the
it'd be a
AFC.
battle. It would be a battle. It would be a
Let's
battle.
let him
So
go
it
to
would
the
be a good,
AFC
good.
Championship game against the Chiefs and let the Chiefs win
There you
out
go.
in
There
Arrowhead.
you
That
go.
would be great.
There you go.
But I want to say this real quick. Devin brought up this. Miami had 726 yards, 350 rushing, and 376 passing. 70 points, most points in franchise history since
Yep.
72 by Washington in 1966, the year I was born.
They were saying
Incredible.
that this week too.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible. So that's good stuff. All right. Right behind them is Buffalo. Buffalo has been the top of the heap in that AFC East for, several years now, but
I know
it's
Allen.
working.
Allen kind of struggled that first week and everything.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I know that because the wife has Josh Allen on her bench half the time because she doesn't know what he's going to do. It's either Kirk Cousins or Josh Allen, and he kind of struggled that first week and everything, putting up points and stuff like that. But I think he's getting his momentum now. He ran it in for a touchdown this week and he
Mhm.
looked good. So I think they're getting back to where they need to get, and everything like that. I also have Stephon Diggs as my receiver too. I wish that man would do a little bit more, but I mean, I think once we get into the middle of season, he'll start firing on all cylinders. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That AFC East is, I mean, that's a good division. I mean, the Patriots are not by no means a slouch right now. I mean, they're fighting, they're battling, they're
yeah,
1-2. They've lost two games, but they've been right in all of them. The Jets, uh, there was high hopes for
man,
them, high hopes, and I really believe that has deflated the confidence level, especially with Wilson. They knew his track record from the years before, and He needed some more time and tutelage under Aaron Rodgers before he's really able to get in there and take it to that next
Yep.
level. And
I
I
think
hope
they
that
just
they,
signed a guy from the XFL though.
okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I seen the breaking news. I mean, it might be fake. I don't know, but they signed a guy from the XFL, so we'll see what
Well,
happens with that.
I hope they struggle one more week this next week after they play the Chiefs. Then they can go ahead and do whatever they want to. But
Exactly, they can do whatever
let's
they want. So
let's let them
yeah,
struggle next week and
yeah.
see where it goes from there. Yeah, I was looking real quick. I didn't see any news on who they signed, but okay, we're gonna move to AFC North. Pittsburgh at 2-1, Baltimore at 2-1, Cleveland at 2-1, and Cincinnati at 0-2, and Cincinnati is trailing right now. So
And I can't, and I'm so happy, man. I'm just not a Joe Burrow fan at all. So it makes me just freaking happy that, what's crazy is, and I know I shouldn't be like this, but you know what? When you sit there and you freaking get a new contract and you get paid all that money and you are not performing, I'm sorry. I can't get with it. I can't get on the Burrow train, man. I just can't do it. Um, I don't
yeah,
know. I mean,
welcome.
he's in tonight. I guess the calf is good and everything to go tonight, so he's been playing tonight. But it makes me so giddy inside that he kind of they upped his contract and he was the number one. He's the number one quarterback paid in the NFL, and he comes out first week and second week not performing. I think it was the second week he actually got pulled in the third quarter, and they actually had to bring in their backup to actually come in. So it's kind of crazy. It just blows my mind. So I wonder
Hmm.
sometimes, if the money does get to their heads, and everything like that. So, you know,
He's pretty. I mean, he's pretty calm, cool, and collected. The dude knows how to win, and he's the one that has been the one concerning me when anytime they play the Chiefs. And but however, I
yep,
loved it last year when their players said Burrowhead. I loved it because I knew that when they did that, I knew that the Chiefs were going to be able to be motivated and pull that game out. So yes,
yep.
you call us Burrowhead all you want to. We'll take it.
Oh
All
well,
right,
yeah, we'll take that dub. We'll take that dub.
that's right. Let's move on to the AFC South. Now, Jacksonville was supposed to be the favorite in that, but right now they're struggling at 1-2. I mean, it's only two games.
Wow.
They lost to the Chiefs, but they lost a big game to Houston this last week. I was surprised with that.
Yeah,
That was
Trevor
Houston's.
Lawrence, man, he's having a rough go so far. I mean, and I know he's got a lot of talent. I mean, look at when he was at
Mhm.
LSU and stuff like that. But my goodness, that dude is struggling, and I don't know
Yeah,
why. Because I mean, he's got the talent on offense. I mean, he's got a good, decent offense. But my goodness, I don't know what's going on.
yeah. Indianapolis is surprising a little bit. They're at 2-1, so I'm surprised they're leading the division. But the other three
Hey,
teams
they
are
got a good
all at
running
one and
back,
two.
Zach. I mean,
Yeah.
Zach Moss, man. And he's another one of my running backs, and I should have put him in this week because that dude got me 36 points, I think, and he was
Mm.
sitting on my bench. And that's not where I want him. So I'm gonna probably have to pop him back up next week. So he's looking good. I mean, he can. I mean, my goodness, he can get out of the pocket. He can run the bubble routes
Mm.
and stuff like that. So I mean, he's looking good. So
Yep. And every year you hear about these teams that are going to be in the AFC West that are going to take the Chiefs down, and so far, and last year it was kind of crazy because they were talking about the AFC West was going to be the best division in football, and that did not turn out that way. The Chargers, they've been talking about them taking over from the Chiefs, but as I believe that as long as they have that coach there, that's not happening. That's not
mhm.
happening. And Kansas City, had a rough first game, should have won that game, but they're right back on top at 2-1. So Denver,
Yeah, I don't
who
think
knows
we're going
what's
to have a
happening?
problem with the Lions again. I'll tell you that later on in the season because I know we'll
Yeah,
probably end up matching up with them again. And nothing
yeah.
against, Goff. He's a good quarterback and everything. He's actually my backup quarterback. I actually had him last year too, and I was pretty happy with the performance he put on. And what's crazy is, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I think he just got his first QB touchdown with the Lions since he's been with the Lions. This is his first um, running at touchdown as a QB for the Lions. So congratulations to Goff. Shout out to him. That's awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll have to. I don't think we're going to struggle with them again. Like I said, I think it was kind of getting the fine points of our skilled guys. With Sky Moore and everything like that, and Rice and So, I mean, I think we're firing on all the cylinders because those guys are looking great. Even with
Yeah.
Isaiah Pachenko, being out within the first, half, they didn't really give it to them much. But we also had, EH Edwards Hilaire, and we also
Hmm.
had McKinnon as well, the Jet. So, I mean, we look good. I mean, we have our backups. Even in the preseason, when they brought in, I think it was our last preseason game, when we brought in all three of our QBs
Hmm.
underneath Mahomes, they all looked fantastic. I mean, and they did the stats after that game too, and all their stats were actually better than Mahomes.
Hmm.
In that one game. So I mean, I think God hope it doesn't ever happen. Even though he had, he almost rolled his ankle this past week.
Yeah.
We are gonna, like I said, we are going to be set. I think we're going to be okay. I think Andy Reid has a lot of faith in our backups and everything like that. So, and we have the best coach in the NFL.
He's
I
awesome.
think Andy
And he
Reid is
makes some
probably
good
the best.
commercials.
Yes. Oh
He
yeah.
makes some
Yes.
good commercials.
Definitely.
You see that the one that he's got with Patrick and the State Farm guy Jake from State Farm, and he's
Yeah.
talking to him about explaining some different things, and Jake's like, "Here's French fries or this," and he said, "Oh, let me see those," and he grabs them, and yeah, I understand. And he's eating the fry and this
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
cheeseburger, and he grabs a cheeseburger, and he said, "How about those nuggies?" Pretty funny.
Yeah.
I love
Oh.
the mustache that he draws on the airplane too. That was good. All
Yeah.
right. Well, the Chiefs are rolling. Hopefully, they'll keep it going, and hopefully, they'll keep healthy. I really believe the key is going to be those young wide receivers getting some confidence, and he's throwing the ball everywhere, getting it to
Hmm.
everybody. So they're going to have
He had the
opportunities, and
big guy
hopefully,
back this week, so I think it really
oh
made him
yeah,
comfortable. He had the big guy, so and
yeah, as well as
we
he
got
had
a
a little
little
motivation.
soldier boy stuff, and yeah, we got a little soldier boy there in the end zone. So I mean, his
Yeah,
dancing and bobbing and weaving, Travis Kelsey.
yeah,
So T. Kels, shout out to him, man. Getting in there and coming back from that injury and coming back like nothing even happened. So the chemistry, and that's what's awesome is we have that chemistry on the Chiefs. T. Kels and Mahomes have been there since day one, and now getting our younger guys in there and Edwards Hilaire and, the Jet and everything like that. So shout out to them guys. I mean, like I said, our chemistry is it's on fire. So
yeah. Thanks, Devin, for joining us. You have a good night too. We're just about wrapping up here. We haven't even hit the NFC, so we're going to fly through that really quick. I'm going to go ahead and
sure.
start down at the NFC West. San Francisco is just beast mode
Brock
to me.
Purdy,
Yeah, I
McCaffrey,
really
my
think,
goodness, that dude was on fire this week.
yeah, absolutely.
My gosh.
Arizona was supposed to be the worst team in football, and they beat them Cowboys. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I know some friends of mine are some huge Cowboys fans, so I'm not going to say anything else. I'll just
I
going
do
to leave it at
too.
that.
I don't want to say anything either, but it's always good to see them Cowboys lose.
Uh-huh. Uh, NFC South, which again was not supposed to be a very good division. Tampa Bay has been leading that, but they are losing right now tonight. Um, you've
I'm
got
not a
Green
big
Bay.
Baker Mayfield fan, so
Yeah.
I'm not a big Baker
Again, I
Mayfield
was an
guy.
Oklahoma
So.
fan, so I kind of liked it, but he's very, very cocky. So
Oh, yes.
uh, Green Bay leading 2-1. Two wins, one loss. Detroit's tied with them. Chicago's horrible. Minnesota, again, surprisingly bad right now. And then we go to the toughest division in the NFC East is brutal too. Philadelphia, Dallas, and Washington. All three of those teams are playing well. Philadelphia 2-0 right now. They're winning. Should be going to 3-0. I think it's going to be continue to be a good year. There's going to be those surprise games, like again Arizona beating Dallas. I did not see that coming. Um,
Hmm.
Baltimore losing their game. I didn't see that coming, but
No, I didn't
that's
either. I thought they had it won with the field goal.
yeah,
Like I said earlier,
yeah,
I think that I mean, he should have just killed it. I mean, it's unreal. Like, when you think about stuff like that, why not just kill it? Why try to tap it in? Kill that ball. If you got it at 47 yards or whatever it was at, my goodness, that's gravy.
yep,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it was disappointing. Disappointing.
Ethan, man, this time's flown by, but I want you to just give us a final comment, and we're gonna close this portion out. We're gonna be doing this again, that's for sure. That's a lot of fun. So, anything you want to share right now before you go off, we'll let you go ahead and do that.
Nope, I've enjoyed being on here again. I love being on here with you, Kirk. I know we've grown pretty close in as a friend relationship and everything like that. Knowing you from custom and MMRA and stuff like that. I look up to you. I talk about you a lot. I mean, you've prayed over me, and just your words of encouragement and everything like that mean a lot to me when I do get to talk to you. So I definitely appreciate you guys. I definitely appreciate One Nation. Like I said, I love coming on here. I love talking to you. It's just fun. It's a good time just to sit down and talk about just random stuff, and which I love doing.
Right.
So I hope to get to do this again for
Oh
sure,
yeah,
and then
we'll
maybe
do it
even
again.
get a spot in the magazine one time too. So that's definitely something I look forward to. So
Absolutely. I have to mention here real quick. Daniel Martinez used to have Daniel in middle school youth group years ago, and Daniel has always been a huge Mizzou fan. And he says, "I've waited so long for us to be relevant again." You know this, Kirk. LOL. Yep, Daniel. And we mentioned a little bit earlier about the time I remember when they beat Oklahoma, and we were at that game and carried out the goalpost through the sea of people, and that was pretty amazing. And then, of course, they got to do that against K-State. So, Daniel, thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody else, for joining us. This has been a fun program. We've been able to talk about a lot of different things. Had my friend Ethan Fernau on here, and he's done an outstanding job. We look forward to doing some more of that in the future. And again, thanks for joining us on One Nation, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra this week. Next week, it's quite possible I might have that guy from Colorado on with me again. Why do I know that? Because he's supposed to be at my house, so I might just have to twist his arm to be on here. So my son-in-law Jay should be on with us next week. So all right, this is your host Kirk DeMars with my co-host tonight, Ethan Fernau, and we will see you guys next week. God bless you. We'll see you later.